go. Unfreaking believable. Unbelievable. I gotta be honest with you. That game drove me nuts. I cannot believe the Buccaneers lost that game. Wow. I don't even know what to say. Tough one. Man, that was an absolute blazer from Cooch, wasn't it?
What a crazy game. The Bulls are bowl-bound for the third season in a row. An incredible performance. But listen, we know the competition. They did what they had to do. No more silver linings. No more moral victories. It was put up or shut up time. And boy, did they rise to the occasion.
Well, how about that? We started on time today. What is going on, everybody? Welcome to the Recher podcast. Happy January 14th, 2026. Hope everybody is having a wonderful day. Listen, I'm rocking the number 10 because this is my number. And it actually has Recher on the back, if you could see it. A Christmas gift from my good pal, Ian Beckles. I'm actually going to wear this today over to the Dignitary Cafe when we do our Beckles and Recher podcast as well. 2:30 today. We're going to try to get as close to 2:30 as possible. So make sure it's right here on the channel. So make sure you tune in and talk a lot of Tampa Bay Buccaneers football. We'll talk a little bit of everything on the program today. It's a smorgasbord of topics and some good ones too. Now, two of the things that we're not going to necessarily get into today, but I want to talk about tomorrow and Friday, is Rachaad White hopping on with the guys over at Loose Cannons and to do their podcast. The curious case of Rachaad White. We'll talk about that. I want to watch the entire thing and then give my 2 cents on it. I don't want to just talk about it because I have my own opinions on Rachaad White. And we're just going to wait until tomorrow. I'm going to watch that whole interview with the guys, with Sammer and Stank and him hopping on there, what he had to say. I know our guy Dave Velasquez just hit me up on Instagram. He is not thrilled with what Rachaad had to say about Buccaneer fans. We'll talk about that tomorrow. Also, Mike Tomlin, now that he is no longer with Pittsburgh, people are asking for him to be the head coach of the Tampa Bay Buccaneers. And I am a little kind of confused with that. And I want to make sure that I have all my ducks in a row before I say what I have to say. Because you know me, I'm not one of those guys. You know, I'm very passionate, very emotional, but I want to speak from an informed perspective rather than just spouting off at the top of my dome. A lot of people in this industry, what they do is they just say whatever the hell they want. They don't think thoroughly through with what they're talking about. With that being said, we're also later on in the show going to talk about the Liam Cohen interaction with the Jacksonville reporter and the last couple of days. And I've gotten a lot of feedback on my video, and the most prevalent feedback I've gotten is actually on TikTok. And it's just so wild to me how people don't even watch the video, and people are just so quick to give their perspective and give their opinion and be rude without even listening to what I had to say. My video gave insight. It gave you a perspective on kind of both sides on what fans think and what media members are thinking in the situation. And I gave my opinion. And when people don't listen to it, they just crap all over my video and they don't even listen. That's the problem. Somebody said, why do we need to have discourse for this? This is a perfect reason why. You need to be able to talk. Like what happens so often in this world that we live in is we see something that we don't really understand, or maybe we don't necessarily agree with. And then we say, fuck that. Screw you. Blah, blah, blah. Like, and it's crazy to me. Like how ignorant and how short-sighted are people that you don't even listen or watch a video on a perspective that may not, you actually agree with if you watched. That's the problem in this world. That's the problem. That's why sports is so great, because we can take topics that, like, is that the most important thing to talk about in the world? No, of course not. Right? It's a topic of conversation, but I think it leads to an important conversation. But there's too often, man, we get so split down the middle when it comes to sports, when it comes to religion, when it comes to politics, that nobody just wants to shut the fuck up and listen. Listen. to what people are saying. Find common ground. Too many times people want to shut things off. Oh, no, you're not a good person. They're not a good person. That's not a person I want to associate with. That's how you want to live? That's how you want to live your life? Really? People are too concerned with trying to. I only want to surround people. I only want to be surrounded with people that agree with whatever I say wholeheartedly, 100%. What kind of life is that? I want people to check me. I want people to tell me, hey, you got to do this. You're doing this wrong. That's the kind of people that actually give a shit about you. Not the people that are just like, you're great. You do an awesome job. Who wants that? I guess too many people. We need to learn. We need to learn. We got to listen. Got to get better. All right. On the program today, again, we'll talk about this here in a bit about, oh God, I don't give a crap about Buccaneers interviews with special teams coaches. God, such a weird thing such a weird life that we're getting in with the NFL where we have to announce that we have interviews with people. That's so weird to me. Who cares? Just hire the damn guy. All right, we're going to talk about Bucs here in a second. 12:15, we'll talk about the Lightning winning 11th in a row and my update and my belief on Brayden Point's injury. Not good. 12:30, an update on all things USF. After a night at the Yuengling Center, I was there last night. I got a chance to speak to Rob Higgins. Got a chance to speak to Brian Segrist, the head of the PR department. Also got a chance to talk to Ken Erickson, the softball coach as well. 12:45, we'll talk about the Liam Cohen thing. 1 o'clock, the Bucs OC interviews. Well, hell, we'll throw the special teams interviews in there so far. And then 1:15, because he's on Lightning Power Lunch, our guy Erik Erlendsson stops by for his weekly visit to discuss the Red Hot Lightning. You're good, pal. You're good, buddy. You're good. We'll talk about that more tomorrow, but we'll touch on it today. I'm with you, pal. Make sure you follow me on all social media platforms: Facebook, YouTube, Twitter, Twitch, TikTok, Instagram, a little bit of everywhere. I'm everywhere. Like and subscribe on YouTube as well. A big thank you to our partners, Honest Timer Custom Builders LLC and Evra Health. I'll give you some at 15, my friend. 12:15. No, I didn't see Gio at the Bulls game yesterday. What the hell? I was looking for him. What kind of fan is he? What kind of fan is he? And again, questions, comments, concerns, leave them there at the bottom of the screen. I see you, David, Terry, Janet Best, Bart Hill, Dolan, the whole crew. Alec Vega, 11 in a row for the Lightning right before my birthday tomorrow. Super pumped, go Bolts. Happy birthday, Alec Vega. Rolly watched the Rashad thing this morning. Super interesting. All right, so I want to ask you guys, right? What kind of Tampa Bay Buccaneers fan are you? Are you one of those fans that want to get behind Todd Bowles now? That you want to say, all right, well, this isn't necessarily the decision that I would have made, but I support him wholeheartedly because he's the head coach of the Buccaneers? Or are you on the other side? Are you one of those Bucs fans that are saying, no, there's no way this is going to work? If this team has to crash and burn for them to get rid of Todd Bowles, I'd rather see that in 2026 and get a full blanket, just a brand new canvas for the 2027 season. It's kind of crazy to talk about 2027 while we haven't even gotten to the 2026 regular season yet. But I feel like after the decision was made to retain Todd Bowles, there's been so many people. I'm getting it every single day on all the videos that I put out. Every single person has been saying, not every single person, but I've gotten messages every single day from people on my video saying, fire Todd Bowles. Even now, after the Glazers have chose to retain him, even after they cleaned out the cupboard of pretty much all of his assistant coaches, people still want him out. And I just wonder, I'm not in that camp. I'm in the believer of I don't mind being proven wrong. Here's another problem with the society that we live in. People are so afraid to be wrong. I don't care if I'm wrong. I'm not perfect. I don't care. I have no problems with putting my hand up, be like, I was wrong. I'm glad to be wrong. I'm glad to be wrong as long as it benefits our teams and our city. That's all I give a crap about. So just like last year, when we were talking about the future of Todd Bowles, we're having another conversation about his future this year. Now, do I think it was the right decision for the Buccaneers and the Glazer family to retain Todd Bowles? No, I don't. With that being said, I am not going to spend the rest of this calendar year bitching and moaning and calling for the guy's job. That's not how the Glazers operate. That's not how they do their business. It's painstakingly obvious that they try to give the guy the entire season, the entire year. So what am I going to do? What are you going to do? What kind of Bucs fan are you? I'm not saying it's right or wrong. It's your prerogative. You can do whatever the hell you want. But are you one of those guys that are just like, hey, I'm behind Todd now. He's our guy. Let's hope that he figures this out. Let's hope that some of that open-mindedness that he had in bringing in a guy that was going to help him with the game management and the clock management, let's hope that the coordinators that he brings in now gives this team a fresh coat of paint, some new ideas. Or are you one of those people that are like, we are so screwed and I don't even want to see what's going on in 2026. I don't want to even think about the playoffs because Todd Bowles is the wrong guy. And there's no way that he can lead us to the postseason. Where are you at as a Tampa Bay Buccaneers fan? Leave the comments, questions, concerns at the bottom of the screen. If you guys want to chime in via the video chat, there's the link right there in the chat. Just click whether you're on your phone or on your laptop, StreamYard.com/34PSQRSRD7. David Terry, I see a Jets team all over again. You have firsthand with that, Jay. You're right, man. You are totally right about that. Greg DeCruz down in Costa Rica. He's a diehard fan. Cheer for the jersey on the front, not the name on the back, the eternal optimist. So Greg DeCruz down there in Costa Rica spends his hard-earned money to come up to the Tampa Bay area to watch his team, try to get multiple games if he can. Greg is saying, I'm supporting them. No doubt about it. David Terry, Bowles spells a number 1 overall pick for 2027, 3 to 4 wins max. Daniel says, I don't think it's too late. Let's fire Todd Bowles. See, Daniel, that's the sentiment that I keep seeing. There's still so many people out there that are saying fire Todd Bowles, even though every step that has been taken in the last week or so has been, he's still the guy at the helm. They're going to give him one more crack at it. I do think it's too late to fire Todd Bowles. Just as far as where they're going, as far as them interviewing offensive coordinator candidates, interviewing special teams coach candidates, I don't think that they would go this far down the road and then fire Todd Bowles. I'm not saying whether it's right or wrong. I'm just saying I just don't believe that. I truly believe the Glazer family is looking at Todd Bowles and saying, this is it. This is your last chance. And we had this conversation with Matt Matera from Pewter Report yesterday, and I'll put the video. That's one video I got to put out today. What does Todd Bowles need to do to come back in 2027? It's got to be at least 10 wins, and it's got to be a run to the NFC Championship game, right? I mean, that's what it's got to be. Anything less than that, he's gone. I don't think that's shocking. I don't think that's breaking news. Right? They can't go 9-8, squeaking into the playoffs and then lose in the first round. That's not going to be good enough. You have to not just see progress. I think you need to see significant progress. You need to see this defense balling out. This is your thing. And for people wondering, like, well, can't Todd just bring in a defensive coordinator? No, that's not his thing. Like, he's not a walk-around coach. He's a defensive guy. He's the play caller. That's the reason why he's here. You're going to cut his legs out from underneath him. Then why is he here? Then he's a lame duck. It doesn't make any sense. Those are not his strengths, the walk-around stuff. His strengths is calling plays. So you're not going to get rid of him if that's your mindset, right? Daniel says, underneath all those interviews, couldn't it be they're looking for a head coach? I don't know. I don't know necessarily about that. I honestly think they're giving this a good clean slate, and then whatever happens, happens. This is one last year for Todd Bowles. Prove that you're the guy. And there's a lot of people out there. I would say more than 90% of the fan base that is not convinced that Todd Bowles is the guy. That's crazy, man. That's a lot from a team this is the first year they haven't won the division in how many years, right? I this is a very awkward and a precarious position for Todd Bowles individually. This is his last chance, not just with the Buccaneers. I just don't see how people are going to be lining up to sign him or lining up to bring him in as their head coach if it doesn't work out here. Look at the route that everybody's going for their coaches. They're looking for young guys. They're looking for usually on the offensive side of the ball. They're not looking for guys in their 50s and their 60s with a defensive mindset on defense that doesn't seem like it's not D'Amico Ryans, right? I got Nathan Elliott's in the house. What's up, brother? Bulls is one more year and we'll have to win big. Tomlin will be out there and will be available in 2027. Won't have to pay Pittsburgh compensation. Won't not have to pay Bulls as much to buy him out. Listen, for me, I don't think the buyout has anything to do with it. The Glazers got enough money. They don't care. That shit does not matter to me whatsoever. I don't think the buyout money really is anything. So here's the other thing too. The retread over and over and over again with these names. Like, I don't understand. The Cardinals have requested an interview with Arthur Smith. Arthur Smith, who was a terrible head coach with the Atlanta Falcons. He did an awful job, I think, this year offensively with the Pittsburgh Steelers. Now somebody wants to hire him as their head coach. Like, it's just so weird, man. These guys get the same opportunities over and over and over again. They just don't look like they're good. I don't know. It is what it is. When people I'd rather see a team go out there and try to give a young guy a shot and think that he's a brilliant offensive mind than give a retread an opportunity and think everything's going to change. Mike Vrabel's a different story. Mike Vrabel's always been a good coach. We saw that with the Tennessee Titans. Sean Payton did a really good job. He won a Super Bowl with the New Orleans Saints, right? You're looking at these guys getting the opportunities. All right, and then you look at Seattle. They bring Mike McDonald. Like, that team embodies him. And look at how much different the defense looks under Zach Orr the last couple of years with Baltimore when Coach McDonald left. Big difference. All right, let's talk some Tampa Bay Lightning hockey here. Another win last night, 11 in a row, 2-1, a shootout victory. Man, I tell you what, J.J. Moser scores that goal late with less than 6 minutes remaining. And I kept thinking to myself, this is the way that you want to see the Lightning play. You want to see them be able to win a game 7-3 and then win a game 1-0. Now, unfortunately, they got caught not playing the game the right way. They were cheating the game a little bit down the stretch there. And I hated that sequence that led to the Evgeny Malkin goal. You can't do that. When the puck has to get out, you got to get it out. You can't mess around. And the Lightning got caught last night. It didn't cost them, but those are the kind of things that is going to bother the shit out of John Cooper. I guarantee it. Those are the things. It's like, hey, you're going to give up goals. You're going to give up chances, but you got to be able to shut it down. You got to be able to finish it off. And they didn't. And you gave a point away to a team in Pittsburgh. Well, it's not in your division. They're in the Metro. It is. It is what it is. And David Terry, I'm with you. You saw that goal happening, right? You ice the puck. You can't get the puck out. You can't, right? It's just no, shit. That's what happened. Vazzy stands on his head in the overtime, and then you go to the shootout, and Pittsburgh's been terrible in the shootout, which is kind of crazy. Crosby mishandling the puck. You're not going to see that very often, but Gage Gonsalves with the big goal, and then Nikita Kucherov finishes it off to secure the victory, number 11 for the Lightning in a row. That's 350 for Andrei Vasilevsky. And we're going to be talking about Vazzy one day as a 500 win goaltender. That's just absolutely amazing. Watching this team do what they do, this is the kind of team that you want to root for. This is the kind of team that gives you confidence going into the second half of the year. Now, when you look at the Bolts and what gave me pause about them going into the year, it was because I didn't necessarily trust if they could play the game the right way and if they closed the gap enough to the Florida Panthers. And I had this conversation last night with somebody, a big name in the hockey world. And they said, what's the difference with the Lightning? What's the difference with this team compared to last year? And I think one of the main differences in this team is the line of Gord, Gergensons, and Pontus Holmberg. They are relentless. They are the new age Gord, Coleman, Goodrow line. And I also think you have guys like Dominic James and Charles Edouard Destu that came out of nowhere. Not many people. I mean, if we're talking about this team before this season, I don't know if anybody had Dominic James and Charles Edouard Destu penciled in for big minutes. But whatever line Dominic James is on, he is a factor. And he really helps out that bottom six. Now, it's good to see Jack Finley get in the lineup last night. We obviously needed to see somebody step up in the absence of Brayden Point. Now, what is the lineup going to look like going forward? Where guys slot in is going to be a huge question. Because now you're going to start moving things around. You're going to see, all right, what are we going to do on the power play? You know, Pointer in that bumper spot is as good as it gets in the National Hockey League. The Lightning have to just continue to play the game the right way. Defend, defend, defend. Still no Hedman, still no McDonough, still no Chernak. But when you have the pairing of Moser and Radish, when you have Charles Edouard Destu out there playing as good as he has, I mean, you have McDonough. With Chernak. I feel so much better about this team, and I wonder what moves that Julien Brisebois is going to make down the stretch. Because, he never stands pat. He always does something. He always makes some move. But we know, because of the amount of injuries that these guys have had, any deal, like we saw in the year when they went out and got Duclair and Dumba, any deal they make is going to have to go dollars in, dollars out. They're not going to be able to accrue any type of cap space. Or a cap, because they don't have cap space. So they're not going to be able to accrue any extra money. It's going to be 11 days, I think, between the Olympics and the trade deadline. So how much money can you really save when most of those guys come back? Speaking of the Olympics and Brayden Point. So it's not the worst case scenario from what John Cooper told Dave Randorf before the game yesterday. But it's definitely not good. It's still not good. Speaking to a lot of different people in the last 24 hours about the Brayden Point injury, and even getting an opinion from our guy, Dr. Rodriguez, even if it is an MCL, like light tear or a sprain, he's going to be out 4 weeks. They say week to week. You would have to think it's going to be a month. And if it's a month, he's out of the Olympics. I just don't see. And it's sad because, will he get an opportunity in 4 years? Will he be eligible for that 2030 team? I don't know. Speed is such a big part of Pointer's game. And, as you get older, the speed drops off. And is he still going to be as effective of a player in 4 years from now? It's tough to say. It's tough to say, especially with how many good players that have similar skill sets to him that are coming up through the ranks with Bedard and Celebrini and all that. And there's going to be guys in the next 2-3 years that are going to be pushing the envelope as well. It's a good sign that it wasn't long-term. So what that tells us is that it wasn't a torn ACL. That's a positive, right? But if it's a grade 1 or 2 MCL sprain, it could be as long as 3 months. So we're looking anywhere, in my opinion, between 1 and 3 months for a Pointer to be out. And again, this is not, this is kind of speculation. I'm trying to take everything that I've gotten, all the information that I've gotten, and putting together from what John Cooper has said, from other sources that I have, from talking to Dr. Carlos Rodriguez, from looking at the video, from asking different people that have had those injuries. It's not worst case scenario, but it still isn't good, right? So my heart goes out to him because he was really, really playing well and finding his groove. And how much it means to him to be able to don that maple leaf and to represent his country. It's one thing in the Four Nations, but to be able to do in the Olympics and win an Olympic gold medal, this is their national sport. This is everything. This is with you and Tony and Hagel and Coop and Brisebois. Like, this is a big deal for Pointer, and he's one of the nicest guys. He really is. He's quiet, mild mannered. He doesn't really speak much. He kind of just does his own thing. Um, Damn, man, my heart goes out to him. So we'll see. Again, we'll talk about this with Dr. Rodriguez tomorrow on the program. Um, he's the best, man. He's 1 to 3 months. That's my guess. It sucks. Coop says week to week, so we're not going to see him, anytime soon, in my opinion. Because you got to think with a knee injury too, it's not just all right. He's going to be able to come back out there and just start skating again because speed is his game. Speed is his game. So he's going to go out there with a red non-contact jersey for a while. It's a process. It's a long, arduous process, even for something. And no, I didn't think it was dirty. I think it was more of a fluke battle in front of the net. I don't think York was trying to hurt him in any form or fashion. Unfortunately, that's just kind of the nature of the beast. You're playing a physical hockey game, and the temperature certainly got turned up after that in that game. But it sucks. It sucks to say it, man. And again, I don't know this for sure, but just listening to all these different things, and just talk to a lot of different people, I would say if I had to put my money on it, that Brayden Point would be out for the Olympics. Just because of the ramp up time, just because, there's not much time left. I mean, it's January 14th, right? And he's going to be off skates for a while. If he's week to week, it's not week to week to get him the return to action. I think it's week to week for him just to be able to put on skates to be able to get out there. It's going to take a while. We're going to go through it tomorrow with Dr. Carlos Rodriguez, all the different possible injuries that it could be, and then how long each of those takes to recover from. And then we'll have a better idea with Brayden Point. But again, our thoughts and prayers are we're hoping that it's something that he can return from very soon. Rican 9068, where do you see Tomlin coaching when he decides to again? Like, where do you think are good fits? I think he's taking this year off, so I think it's kind of an impossible question. Do I think in the long run the Buccaneers might be an option? Yes. Do I agree with that? I don't know. I still have my reservations when it comes to Mike Tomlin. I do. Because, and if you remember, and we're going to get him on the show tomorrow. I'm going to try to tomorrow, Friday, our guy Tim Benz from up there in Pittsburgh. Tim Benz has been telling you guys about the unhappiness with Mike Tomlin up there in Pittsburgh. I mean, to be fair, think about it like this, guys, and I'll mention this again tomorrow. Baker Mayfield has won a playoff game in Cleveland more recently than Mike Tomlin has with the Steelers. Right? Like, think about that. You love the guy. He's disciplined. He's he won a championship at one time. You've done a thing that very few people have done on this earth, and that's been the head coach of one of the most storied franchises in all of professional sports. I mean, when there's nobody like the Pittsburgh Steelers. That's one thing that I love about this about sports, right? There's certain teams where there's just like there's nothing like them, right? There's nothing like the Yankees. I hate to say it, but there's nothing like the Dallas Cowboys, right? There's nothing like the Pittsburgh Steelers, right? When you have three coaches, when everybody, even if you're not a big-time sports fan, when it's Chuck Noll, Bill Cowher, Mike Tomlin, like they don't make rash decisions. They take their time. They want a Steelers guy, the Steelers way. Like that's what it is. The Rooney family doesn't mess around. There's nothing quite like the Steelers in all of sports, and that is a very proud job. And I think they're going to take their time, and they're going to make sure that the guy they bring in is not a one-hit wonder, is not a fluke. This is a guy that's going to be very convicted in his morals and foundation, and that's the way it's going to go. Now, you could trade for his rights, but I don't see that happening right now. Yeah, I don't know. Again, we're going to talk about this on the show tomorrow because for all the people that want Tomlin here with the Buccaneers, I don't quite understand the rationale. This just seems like another, wow, look, there's the hot girl at the bar, but she's single for a reason, right? They haven't won a playoff game in a long time, right? He brought Arthur Smith in as his offensive coordinator with Aaron Rodgers. And people say, oh, they didn't have a quarterback. They didn't have this. They spent first-round picks on him. They had Russell Wilson last year and Justin Fields. They've had other guys after Ben Roethlisberger. Yeah, they haven't been great. But again, Baker Mayfield won a playoff game with Cleveland. You couldn't win one playoff game that entire time? You couldn't find a way? I don't know. Again, it just seems like more caveats, more excuses, more if, ands, or buts. Not good. So, Pons, give me. I'll text you right when I'm done. I got Ponzo. Beckles and Recher podcast coming up today from the Dignitary Cafe. Make sure you check us out, 4817 Southwest Shore Boulevard. Best kava and kratom in town. Go check them out today. Tell them that you heard it right here on the Jay Recher podcast. We should do that, right? Dignitary Cafe. Like if you guys go there and try to get kava or kratom, you get a discount if you say you heard it on our show. See if that works. Be like, hey, I heard I was going to get a discount because I said on the Jay Recher podcast. Depending on the bartender, they might do it. Probably not. Maybe Ponzo's there. Yeah, Ponzo's there. Get $1 off. That'd be pretty funny. What's bucking? Did anyone watch the interview with Charlie Strong and Rashad White? The Rashad White, we're going to talk about that one tomorrow, buddy. No doubt about it. The J&Z discount code, that's for the lightninginsider.com with our pal, Erik Erlendsson. He's going to join us at 1:15 today. All right, I was at the Yuengling Center last night. USF. The USF women's basketball team, they took on UTSA. UTSA, the Roadrunners, it's pretty wild. They've only lost 2 games in conference the last 2 years, and both of them were to USF. And, man, I got to be honest with you. I haven't gotten to the Yuengling Center as much as I've wanted to this year. I try to get to, a bunch whenever I'm not doing anything. I'm always doing something. I wish. I got baseball tonight. It's supposed to rain tonight. Check the weather. The weather look good? Yeah, the weather looks good. It's supposed to rain tomorrow. Okay. I was going to say, if it rained tonight, then I'm definitely going to be at the men's basketball game tonight, but I won't be, unfortunately. I got baseball practice tonight, but go usfbulls.com. Go get you some tickets. Brian Hodgson and the boys will be in action tonight. The women, 70-53 over UTSA last night. The barrage in the second quarter was just absolutely incredible. They scored 30 of their 70 points in the second quarter. They could not miss. At one point, they were 80% from 3-point. They were 8 for their first 10. Unbelievable. I think they finished 46% from 3, but still. Love what I saw from the USF Bulls. And Michelle Woods-Baxter, I got to get her on the show. I saw her. I did the USF women's broadcast a couple years ago. Derek Sharp had eye surgery, and I had to go on the road with Coach Jose and the team. And one of them the game was in Tulsa, another one was in Cincinnati, and it was just so good to be able to spend time with Coach Michelle Woods-Baxter and her husband Jim, and she's just been waiting for this opportunity for so long. The right hand lass of the great Jose Fernandez, who has moved on to the Dallas Wings in the WNBA. I'm just so happy for her. And here's the thing too. She goes there and takes over for a legend who's been there 25 years, and not one person transferred. Not one person. How incredible is that? Not one person left. That shows you the trust and the loyalty they have in Coach B. So shout out to her. I was just so glad to see her and give her a hug. And man, it was just, she's awesome. She's just such a great person. I'm so glad she's gotten this opportunity. And listen, the women, they're 4-0 in 2026. They're 4-1 in conference. They got a really good chance to win the American. All right. So also being there, I got a chance to talk to Rob Higgins and chat with him about all things USF after the game. And I saw him and Derek Brooks at the game yesterday, and asking him about Brian Hartline, and he goes, Jay, he's just hit the ground running, and with kids back in school and everything, he's just so excited. He looked at me last night. He says, Jay, we got our guy. This is the guy, and they're so excited about these recruits and about all these different transfers, and he's just crushing the transfer portal right now. Speaking to a couple of guys in the PR staff too, they're just so happy with how everything has gone. It has gone as well as it could have, as well as it could have gone. It has gone. If that makes any sense. But it's going to be a much different team next year. Moody Rubin's here. Alvin Isaac is here. It's going to be a huge difference. Huge difference next year with USF. There's going to be a lot of new names. Obviously, the quarterback situation, the wide receiver spots, the offensive line that was filled with a bunch of graduate, guys. Defensively, it's going to be different. You're not going to have the fellows that you had last year. It's going to be a new day. No Mac, no Jalen on defense. A lot of the guys went into the transfer portal. A lot of the guys that, went to Auburn with Coach Alex Golesh, you understand that. You understand that they're going to go with the guy that recruited them and brought him, them here to USF. But it seems like from all that I'm hearing, Brian Hartline is crushing it. And I heard that they got a couple of huge guys for the defensive line, like monsters. And this is something even going back to the days with Jeff Scott. I remember speaking to Jeff Scott about one of the big things that he wanted to do. Like, what are you looking at when it comes to this? He goes, bro, we got to get bigger on the defensive line. And you have to think, remember where he just came from before that. He was at Clemson with Christian Wilkins and Dexter Lawrence and Clellan Ferrell and all those guys, right? So he saw how dominant a stout defensive line could be in changing the game. And that's something that, it got a little bit better under Alex Golesh, but by no means did this team have, all-stars there at the defensive tackle position where you looked at, like, it was still an offensive-driven team. And I think defensively, that's where this team, I think, we look at it with pretty much every team, right? Defensively, that's the thing that's going to keep you in the games. I just want to check. Hold on 1 second, guys. Adam Thielen, a first year retired. Bro, Chan, you can't do that, bro. Chan, thank you for $10 for the super chat. Breaking news: losing has been placed on LTIR. The Tampa Bay Lightning tie the franchise record with 11 wins. Bro, I thought you misspoke and Point was put on LTIR. You got me, Chan. You got me good. Thank you for the $10 super chat. Again, we can't do this without you guys. We can't do this without our partners. But all right, I had to check, man. You got me scared there, buddy. But back to USF, because we were so rudely interrupted by our good friend. Thank you, Chan. You appreciate you, buddy. You're the man. But yeah, a lot of good signs for USF. And, when we're looking at this team and we're looking at the American Conference, and I spoke to one of the big marketing guys yesterday, and I said, what's the goal for this team? And it says, we have to make this a brand that is recognized nationwide. It can't just be like, oh, we know them here in the Bay Area, we know in the Southeast. And I kind of brought up the thing of, you need to be able to look at that, the bull, the U for the Bulls, and it has to be just as recognizable as the Golden Arches for McDonald's. Like, that's what your goal needs to be. And from every single person that I talk to within and around USF, they're positioning themselves for conference realignment, whatever that may be. And going to their places and coming here. And I also had a conversation with somebody and talking about UCF and going to the Big 12. And, they were on a big winning streak, and they hosted at that time the number 20 team in the country in Kansas. And they had trouble filling out their stadium. And I think that's a smaller capacity than the Yuengling Center, if I'm not mistaken. Can you imagine if USF played a team like Kansas, a blue blood for college basketball? This place would be packed at the YC. I still think the long-term play is the ACC. Go to the ACC, and how cool would it be to see Coach Brian Hodgson and his team playing at Cameron Indoor against John Shire and the Blue Devils? How great would that be to see Duke here? That would be tough for me, really, because Duke is one of those teams. I don't know if I've ever told you guys this before, but Duke is the first team that I ever chose on my own as a 5-year-old kid when they won. They were 6 years old, 6. They won in 91 and 92. Um, at 6 years old, Pepsi came out with a commemorative blue soda for Duke for winning the national championship. And at 6 years old, I thought that this was the coolest thing ever. I was like, Dad, can I be a Duke fan? He's like, yeah, you can be whatever fan you want. I drank one of the cans of the blue soda and I kept the other one. It's got to be, I don't know if my parents still have it, but ever since then, I was a Duke fan. It was my team. Nobody else, none of my friends were Duke fans. My brother's not a Duke fan. None of my family members. That was the team that I chose as a 6-year-old kid. I was a Yankee fan because of my dad. All the other teams I followed my dad except the Rangers, because in 94 when the Rangers won, Mark Messier was my hero. But I'm a Yankee fan because of my dad, a Giants fan because of my dad, a Knicks fan because of my dad, Manchester United because my great-grandparents are from Manchester. But that Duke thing was just, and I still love St. John's. That's the team my dad cheers for, but Duke was the team that I pulled for, made my decision as a big boy at 6 years young. Little did I know, I didn't know it could have been whoever won it that year, right? And it's like when people look at it and they say, well, you're a Duke fan just like everything else, and I say it could have been anybody. It really could have been any team in the country. I didn't know that Duke was Duke. And remember, back then, Duke wasn't the Duke we see now, right? That was the beginning because they were okay in the 80s with the Danny Ferries and the Jay Billises of the world. And they weren't the same as now. Like North Carolina was a much more lauded program, as was Kentucky. And you look at the 80s and the Big East with Providence and Georgetown and Villanova and all. That was a totally different ball game over there. So I just think it's a good story that's the team that out of all of them I get to choose. Our guy, what's up, Richie? As it relates to marketing, people see USF and think that it's not South Florida, and then they think of the Bull. They stole that from Texas. Yeah, I wonder. I think people think about that more for the horns up, Richie, than maybe the Bull, like for the U, because, and I say the U like Miami. But yeah, I think more of the horns up. People think they take that rather than the actual U for USF, because I think that's distinguishable here in the Southeast. I just don't know, kind of long term. Rolly, good question. Did it mean anything to you that Graham Barton came out of Duke? No. You know why? Because it's not Duke football. It's just Duke basketball. I have no allegiance. And you could say the same thing about Daniel Jones, as I grew up a Giants fan. I didn't care that he came out of Duke. Couldn't care less. It's not the same. It wasn't the same thing for me. Now, was it a big deal that RJ Barrett went to go play for the Knicks? Yes. Love that. I was heartbroken that Zion Williamson didn't go to the Knicks. I had a video years ago. I was at my ex-girlfriend's house. And I was on her bed when the NBA draft lottery came out. And I was so upset. I was so upset that the Knicks, even though they had the worst record, didn't get the number 1 pick that year. They didn't even get the number 2 pick. They got the number 3 pick. They didn't get Zion. They didn't get Ja Morant. They got RJ Barrett, who they ended up trading to Toronto. So it worked out pretty good, but it's pretty wild. Pretty wild. Eric, I've been a Bucks fan since 1977. I don't want to hear anything from newer fans about us not doing well. I mean, it took us so many seasons to win a game. Todd is the coach, and I'm hoping for a good season. There you go. There is some perspective from an OG Bucks fan. And if you're just joining us now, I opened the show having this conversation of what kind of Bucks fan are you? Are you like Eric saying, regardless of who the coach is, I got to support him? And let's hope he does find a way and he puts the right people in place and they do draft the right guys and sign the right guys and trade for the right guys. And that Todd Bowles leads this team to a long postseason run next year. Or are you on the other side of the coin? Are you one of those fans going, we are so screwed. This is like Groundhog's Day. We're not going to be good. Who gives a crap? I hope that they lose just so we can push the reset button and get ready for Mike Tomlin in 2027. Which kind of fan are you? I think it's a fair question. Eric, and I'm with you, pal. Watching that Raise the Flags documentary, and I've lived here for 20 years now in the Tampa Bay area. And covering sports for the last, I'd say, shit, man, this is going to be 12 years, over a decade now. I knew it was over a decade, but it's about to be 12 years. covering sports for 12 years. Um, I try to do as much homework as I could to understand the beginnings of the Bucks, the Lightning, the Rays. Um, and even though I did probably more homework on the Bucks than anybody, some of that stuff in the Raise the Flags documentary still, I'm like, man, you guys. Yeah, it's crazy. Benny, I love this. Are you questioning what kind of Bucks fan I am? You merely adopted the darkness. I was born into it, molded by it. I'm almost a man, but the time I saw light. I hear you, pal. We are so screwed next season, but I'm going to still support my Bucks. LOL, go Bucks. King Cook, I appreciate you, buddy. You're a real one. You are, buddy. I hear you, man. I hear you. Mario Christian in the house, 8 to 10 or 11 isn't that far away. The NFC South will someday be as good or better than the NFC West. All right. Nathan Elliott, most of the fans and trolls that want Bulls fired are recent Brady bandwagon fans who are not around for Morris, Shiano, Smith, or Cutter. Go Bucks. Richie P. Bucks fan till the end. Alec, that documentary was so good, and those fans are the real OGs. Makes you really think that we are spoiled. And our guy Louis, and I was on Louis yesterday, Louis with the Frozen Pirates podcast. Go check that out, man. Really, really good chat with him yesterday. Bucks fans since 95. I say they need to make the right decision in the offseason. If they're going to keep Todd, I'm going to roll with it. I'm not jumping off the ship. Benny, my dad was a Bucks season ticket member for the first 10 years or so until my sister was born. Then that's where that money went. I've been a Bucks since day one, Daniel says. I went through 0 and 26, but there comes a time we need to move on from mediocrity, and I think that's where we are right now. I don't disagree with you, Daniel. And I hate that for you as a Bucks fan. But I feel like this is where we're at with the Bucks. And that's why I posed this question to start the show today. We can't just keep saying fire Todd Bowles. Because all you're doing is just yelling into the abyss. Because it's not going to change. He's going to be the guy. So it's either be pissed off for the next 11 months, right? Or support Todd and just kind of ride the wave. Ride the wave. Our guy Hammer in the house. Didn't we set a new standard here? Not calling a spoiled fan base. We just thought we were past this. Todd is mediocre and lacks passion. You're right. And I don't think that that's a problem of like adjusting your expectations. I feel for those fans that went through the 0 for 26, but we're not there anymore. Like now you should raise the standard. Like the levels should raise as time goes by, right? You shouldn't be okay. You went through 0 and 26, right? If they go 1 and 16 next year, you can't be like, well, it's better than the beginning when we didn't win for almost 2 seasons, right? So your perspective changes. Dolan, I lived here my whole life. Bucks fans for life. I'm done with Todd as the coach. Pessimistic about 2026, predicting a 7-10 season. I will always root for this team. VA Green 420, always going to support the team, but I think things could go seriously bad if not handled correctly. They've got to get the right offensive coordinator and future Bucks coach. Can I be here even though I'm a Yankees girl? Sure thing. Why not? The dark decade is important to note. The decade of losing is important. The roller coaster of change cannot begin again. That's our guy, Nathan Elliott. Okay. I wanted to touch on this before we get back to some Bucks talk at 1 o'clock. The whole thing with the Liam Cohen, Jacksonville Jaguars reporter situation. Now, we spoke about this the other day, and I gave my 2 cents, and I made the video, and I put it out there, and I gave everybody out there an idea. Just looking at different things over there. This whole Liam Cohen Jacksonville reporter situation has really got me questioning everything. You know, I made the video because I wanted everybody to understand that. I wanted everybody to understand where the media was coming from. Because instead of being one of those media members that just scoffs at this entire thing and just says, oh, you know, what do they know? That's not the time and place. You're not supposed to be a supporter of the team. Why? right? I wanted to explain why, and I thought I did so. And if you're just joining us and you missed it, when we spoke about it the other day. First off, the time is so valuable in those press conferences, and you don't have a lot of time, and you want to be able to get back to the locker room as quick as humanly possible. And Rashad White is one of those guys that you miss if you spend too much time talking to Todd Bowles and Baker Mayfield. It's the truth. You miss certain guys, and you want to be able to hear from them, especially after the final game of the season. When I'm saying this, I'm providing context. I'm not trying to say that it was, um, you know, I'm not necessarily talking about what happened in this instance. Also, you are supposed to be an unbiased person in the media, right? Where you don't show too much favoritism to the team, because there is this long-standing belief that if you're too supportive or overly supportive of the team, that you're not going to be able to do your job properly. With that being like, kind of look at the other side, and we look at this side because of the nice part about it, right? But here's the other side of the coin that not many people are talking about and why it's a big deal, right? If something happens in a game or a team doesn't play well and there's tough questions that need to be asked, if somebody is too buddy with a team or a player or a coach, are they really going to ask? Are they really going to ask the same questions? Are they really going to ask the tough questions? And we see that. We see how people's opinions change when they work for a team. They don't go in as hard. You know that. So that's where the line is drawn. The line is drawn of like, you have to kind of keep yourself objective. And I get it. And it's been tough. It's been a tough process for me because I wasn't just a sports fan. I was a diehard sports fan, a diehard New York fan, right? My great grandparents were sports fans. My grandmother had a shrine for Thurman Munson after he passed away tragically in that plane crash. My grandmother, she cried when the Yankees won in 1996. I said, Grandma, why are you crying? She goes, I never thought that I would live to see the Yankees win another World Series. Like, that's how much it means to my family. My dad painted big blue wrecking crew on the wall downstairs in our basement when we first moved into our house in 1991. Like that, this is what I was brought up on. This is what we were raised. This is the parties and the friends and the family. This is what brings everybody together. I wasn't just a guy that was a casual. I was a big time sports fan. And when I was at the Lightning and Rangers playoff match in 2015, that 7-game series, I was so out of place and I was a fish out of water. I didn't know how to deal with it. One of the first things I ever did was I covered a game, or excuse me, I covered a press conference, and it was Anton Strawman. You remember him? Anton Strawman, a defenseman that was with the Rangers, and the Lightning signed him. And they asked him during the press conference, are you over what happened losing in the Stanley Cup final to the LA Kings? And I thought to myself, I'm not over it. I don't even like hearing the name Alec Martinez because he scored the game winner against Henrik Lundqvist. So it's difficult. But over time, I've had to detach myself from the entire situation. I've had to take myself away from it and be a little bit more jaded because I have to try to make sure that I can be detached enough to be able to be honest with my opinions. Do I still go as hard, even though I've worked for the teams and I've been with the teams? And that's the thing. And sometimes it gets taken the wrong way. That is a huge part of this that I don't think enough people have explained. That's why that there's an issue. It's not as much about the sentiment. Now, is that a sad part about this whole thing? Yeah, it is. It is. And I think it's very unfortunate that it was a black woman in the South talking to a white man, because I think then there's a racial undertone that is just going to be prevailing in this entire discussion, whether it has anything to do with it or not. Because you also had a reporter in Cleveland say something to Kevin Stefanski, and not many people brought it up. Now, again, context is key. That wasn't a nationally attended thing. When you have an end of the year press conference like that, just like we had here in Tampa Bay, that's not attended by the NFL Network. That is not broadcasted live on ESPN. That's not broadcasted live on Fox. That is local media only. And is anybody really clamoring to hear what the Browns have to say after they lose? No. But after you lose a playoff game, everybody is tuned into the press conference, win or lose. The main figures, the head coach and the quarterback, everybody's there. NFL Network reporters are there. ESPN people are there. It's different. Every little drop of information that comes out of those press conferences is available for everybody to see. That's why it got out so quickly. I don't think he had anything to do with her race. I don't think it had anything to do with that whatsoever. If that was a white woman doing it to him, I think the sentiment would have been exactly the same. Was that the right time to be able to send a nice gesture and to say a nice thing about Liam Cohen and the impact that he made on Jacksonville? As far as professionalism goes, no, it wasn't the right time. But what does that say about our profession then? And when I say that on my video, was it the right time? Probably not. People go, why do you mean probably not? Listen to what I had to say. I've been in those press conferences. I still had no problem with it. Think about what I just said. It wasn't the right time, and I still didn't care. Because like I said on Monday, when I heard her say that, I didn't hear that through the ears of Jay Recher, sports media member for the last 12 years. I heard that as Jason Recher, who grew up in Central Islip, New York, 16 white kids at a 1600 in my high school, where my friends were either Black or Puerto Rican or Dominican or Portuguese. I didn't have many white friends. And when I went to my best friend in high school, Runt, Stephen Good, when I go to his house and we're talking about cocoa butter and Murray's hair cream and his mom's cooking grits and collard greens, that's what I grew up on. And when I walk into the kitchen and Mama Good says, Jason Recher, I love your haircut with that unbelievably adorable Southern drawl. I melt like a butter in a mashed potato. And I have this sheepish grin and I'm just like, yeah, thank you, ma'am. Yes, ma'am. Thank you. Liam Cohen was me in that situation. That's where my mind went to, but that's how I was brought up. That's how I viewed it. I didn't immediately go to that was unprofessional. When somebody asks that and they ask me, is it professional? I go, yeah, I guess under the guidelines of how we go about our business. No, it wasn't. Do I care? No, I don't. Because I think we need to find more ways in this life to be kind to people. Acts of random kindness. That's the most important thing. Too many things separate us in the world. And this is going back to the beginning of what I was saying today. There's so many things that separate us in this world, whether it's our sports allegiances or our political or religious affiliations. Like, shit, man, that's just such a tiresome, closed-minded way to live your life. I had a gentleman, and I want to read it to you guys on, excuse me. It was on TikTok, and I know it's TikToker, but it's like TikTok. I hope I can find it. She's not speaking just as a supporter of a yeah, man. His name was Him Downstairs. Okay, very nice guy, right? And I said the discourse was needed. He goes, no discourse is needed. Support for Brown's coach was appropriate. Support for Jack's coach was inappropriate. What's the difference in the responses? Not the content of the comment, but rather the complexion of the commenter. And I don't agree with that. And I said, why isn't the discourse needed? There are people that think this is wildly inappropriate, and I disagree with that sentiment. Why is my video, where I not only give both sides of the story, but also my opinion not suffice? I said that it's sad that we focus more on professionalism than being kind, and that's a problem. He said, please do the same take on the Stefanski presser. The guy speaking never asked a question, because that's another thing that people are saying, well, she didn't ask a question. And I said, I wouldn't comment on the Stefanski thing because this means more. Her sentiment was genuine, and that's why I loved it. And I knew this would cause a firestorm. The majority of the people commenting didn't even listen to my take. I'm saying that according to how media is done, it wasn't the right time. But soon thereafter, I mentioned how sad it is that we spend more time worrying about professionalism than kindness, and that's a problem. Even people trying to defend her on this video are attacking me when I'm actually not opposing what she did. That's why the discourse is important. We need to be able to discuss things like this and be civil and find common ground. I try to explain both sides and give my opinion, and people still rush to judgment. Doesn't make them any better than the people badgering Lynn for what she said. That's what I said last night on TikTok to a gentleman. And he said, fair. And I said, I love that. That's what it's supposed to be. That's what the discourse is supposed to be. People are not supposed to understand why that wasn't professional. Let's have that conversation. Why was that deemed unprofessional? And if you have a proper conversation about it, I think we can find something at the end of going, all right, well, it probably wasn't professional. Fine. We can, maybe agree to disagree. But what about the sentiment? I love it. I love that. I love when people go out of their way to say and do nice things for people. And I'm going to point out one person in the Tampa Bay media. He is the number one person to do this in the Tampa Bay media. And he may have some of the most followers when it comes to our media. And that's why I love having him on the show. Who's your guess? Let's play a game. Out of all the people that we have here on the show, out of all the people that you follow when it comes to sports media in the Tampa Bay area, who do you think is the kindest person and who is the most generous person with their likes, with their retweets, with the things that they say? Who do you think it is? I'll give you guys 60 seconds. And oh my God, Richie P, our guy. The J Press, like the Florida Sentinel, has a different responsibility to its community. What you've seen, was that responsibility play out? Yeah, I mean, yeah, I think that's a fair sentiment. Let's hear it. And I love him, but it is not double E. And Rolly, you are spot on. And the answer to the question is, who's the kindest, who's the most generous person in Tampa Bay sports media? Greg Allman. And it's not close. It is not close. Look at SRQ Tom, Benny. And I went up to Greg, and this is the other thing too. And I'm not saying this to toot my own horn, but I'm saying this because I try to implore other people to act like this and do this as well. Just be kind, man. You know who's done a really, really good job this year at their job? Ed Encina for the Tampa Bay Times. The stories that he has written, the story that he wrote about Darren Radish and his dad dealing with cancer, dude, that was awesome. That was amazing. And he has been in his bag this year, going on road trips, the ideas that he's coming up with stories. And I texted him yesterday. I go, Ed, I don't know if it means anything to you, but I just wanted to tell you, man, like, you're crushing it this year. You're doing a really, really good job. Because he is, man. And I went up to Greg Allman after the last game, or before the last game, week 18, press box up there at Raymond James Stadium. And I said, Greg, I just wanted to thank you, man, for not just coming on the show all the time, but also just being so kind with the replies and the retweets. And bro, that shit, I mean, to some people it may be marginal, but it means a lot. It means a lot. Like the only way I put food on the table and keep a roof over my head is, by doing this podcast, man. Honest Hammer and Ever Health, like they help me out a ton. Like they're my partners. Like I'm doing this. This is my profession, right? This is the reason why I go out and coach. Like you can't do this shit for free, you know? Every reply, every single, retweet, and especially people with a higher profile, especially people with more followers. Like if Greg Allman likes something that I do or retweets something I do, that could be better opportunities for me down the road, or somebody sees my content for the first time. Like that kind of stuff is so important. Look at Richie. So true about Allman. He liked a comment from my wife once, and I had to check him. Just kidding. He's a nice guy, and it made my wife stay for him to respond to her comment. Richie, Richie is one of those guys. Richie is here most days. Richie helped me out with the super chat, and he gets that. Richie always saying nice things. Richie, you're the man. You're one of those people, Richie. And I said to Greg, thank you so much for the love and the support and everything that you do to help me in my journey, right? And he's like, man, you don't have to thank me. What, it's my pleasure, blah, blah. And then he goes, we need more positivity on social media. We can't ignore the social media now, guys. We just can't. It's part of our life, right? Whether you admit, like, if you're one of those people that is not if you're not one of those people that is in social media at all, I envy you. I'm jealous of you. I wish I could just be like this. Like I wish, dude. I wish. I don't know if I ever could, because it's kind of like what Ian said one time when I was like, man, I watch all these sports because of my job and blah blah. And he goes like this. Hey, you fucking lying. I'm like, what do you mean? He goes, you be watching all these damn sports anyway. I go, you're probably right. You're definitely right. Yeah, Tony Mayberry was making fun of me a couple weeks ago. He's like, you got money on this? What do you mean? You got money on this soccer game and this tennis match? I'm like, nah. He's like, no, you got money on it. I go, nah, man. I watch everything. He goes, no. And Tony goes, Ian, Jay don't got money on this? He goes, probably not. He goes, Jay got a problem. He goes, oh, shit. And if you ever heard the clip on Pat and Aaron's show with Ian, they were talking about me, and they were like, that boy there got a problem. Yeah. That boy there got a problem. But yes, a big thank you to Greg Allman. And again, what we can learn from Greg Allman, what we can learn from Liam Cohen in the situation, be good to people, man. Be kind to people. And if you have a disagreement or you have a difference of opinion or a different point of view, like, bro, talk that shit out. Don't just be like, oh, screw it. I'm not that type of person. I don't believe the same thing as you, so they're not good people. Come on, man. When was the last time you sat down and watched a movie? To be fair, I watched a lot of movies when I was home in New York because I was sick the whole time. So, during the year, it's not as much. But that's why, listen, when it comes to the holidays, bro, I turn my working brain off as much as possible. I watched Fantastic Four, The First Steps. I watched Eternals. I watched Harry Potter. I watched Thunderbolts. Watched all of them, man. Watched a lot of it. Our guy Louie takes only a couple seconds to retweet something. Kindness goes a long way. Not just that, but the impact that has on somebody's way of thinking. Listen, everybody out there today, everybody that watches this show, do you know how much of an impact that you've had on our guy Eric Moreno? Our guy E that watches our show all the time has gone through it. He has gone through it the last 12 months. His dad passed away. It crushed him. They were both huge Buccaneer fans. Huge. And him being here and hearing some of the things that you guys have said to him, Benny, DT, all you guys, all Janet, all you guys, all the nice things that you said to Eric Moreno during his time, like, bro, you don't realize the impact that shit has, and he's never even met you. I've never met him. But this little community that we have here on the J Retro podcast, like, you never know, man. You never, ever know the impact that you have. Say something nice. Thank you, Jay, for giving me a sounding board. These thoughts have been echoing in my head since the end of the season. I just want to, Daniel, you're part of the crew, buddy. You're welcome back. You are welcome back. You ever see Team America? Not in very, very long time. The Wrecking Crew is good people. Even the Liverpool fans. Love you, buddy. Love you. All right, let's take a look before our Double E joins us. Some of the Buccaneers offensive coordinator, interview tracker. PewterReport.com has that all. Giants interim head coach Mike Kafka. Please, no. I don't want Kafka here. We saw what he did with the Giants. It wasn't pretty. He took over. I mean, I don't know, man. If he was that good, the Giants would hold on to him. Working with Jackson Dart. Think about that. If the Giants wanted to keep continuity, they would have kept Mike Kafka to be there with the Giants. I don't want him here. No, thank you. Todd Monken. Obviously, we know that there was an interview today. Again, the whole Todd Monken thing, I know there's a lot of people out there that look at him and they say, okay, look at the success that he had with Baker. He crossed paths with Baker Mayfield in Cleveland. He had some success with the Buccaneers with Mike Evans and Chris Godwin. But remember, Dirk Cutter took the play calling duties away, then gave it back to him. And I don't know. He already turned the Bucs down in 2023. I just don't know if he's the right fit. I don't, man. I don't. I know that Baltimore offense looked good last year, but this year when he wasn't 100%, you had Derrick Henry. You decided not to run Derrick Henry in that second to last game of the year. I think it might have cost them. I think the lack of innovation with the compromised Lamar Jackson, like not being able to kind of adjust on the fly, I hated that. So everybody needs to be 100% for you to be successful with your offense. Shit, we know that that's a problem with Baker Mayfield, right? Like that's the thing. We need a coordinator that's going to be like, all right, this is what he does well. This is what he doesn't do well. This is our play calls if he's compromised. And you saw that offense when they weren't 100%. They were not the same. They had Lamar Jackson and Derrick Henry, and they didn't even make the playoffs. I'm not running up to the podium and handing the card in for him. Zach Robinson. You know, a lot of people wanted Zach Robinson the first time. He goes to Atlanta. Wasn't too thrilled with him last year, but I thought he did a better job this past season. Even though in a weird way, the points per game fell, but I just thought that they looked a little bit more well-rounded. They got Kyle Pitts involved more. That's strange how that happens. That's why you can't just look at the numbers. You got to take a deeper look. Israel Wolfork, quarterbacks coach for the Cardinals, and David Shaw, former Stanford leading man. I don't think they'll get the job. And then Brian Callahan, again, wasn't thrilled with the efforts that he put in to get Cam Ward adjusted to the big time. And I think too often when it comes to football, we look at guys like Matt Nagy's getting looks now again. Why? What did you see in Chicago with Matt Nagy that's like, wow, he's going to be the guy going forward, right? He's not just going to be the offensive coordinator. He's going to be your head coach. That was a dumpster fire. And what? He goes back and he works with Patrick Mahomes and he leads. I call that the Adam Gase syndrome. Adam Gase worked with Peyton Manning and everybody's like, look at that. And then he's the head coach with the Jets and he was the worst first press conference ever. He looked like he just saw snow for the first time. Adam Gase was one of the worst hires that we've ever seen in professional sports. And the only reason why he kept getting a job is because he got the Midas touch just because he was around. He breathed the same air as Peyton Manning. What kind of sense does that make? All right, let's bring him in 30 seconds early. We'll bring him in so we can get him out because he's got things to do. He's our one and only good pal, Erik Erlendsson, Lightning Insider. What's going on, brother? How are you?
Good afternoon. How are you?
I'm good. How did the Lightning show go today?
Man, that hour flies by.
It does,
crazy.
Doesn't it?
Yeah, I'm sure you probably feel the same way for a 2-hour show. It probably just flies by. You know, we're just holding conversation, me and Greg, and it just flows, and before you know it, the hour's up. So it's good stuff.
Yeah, I mean, I wouldn't say it's good stuff because Greg Linnelli is on the show, and and
It's a
I
good
gave up
point by you.
and I gave up line. It's a good point by you, and I gave up line for Lent. So it's just the way it goes. All right, 11. Let's just get right into the. We'll get into the good stuff in a minute, but I've asked around. I've talked to Dr. Rodriguez. The whole Brayden Point thing. Worst case scenario is out the window, which is good. So that means he didn't tear his ACL. You and I are not doctors, nor did we stay at Holiday Inn Expresses last night.
Nope.
But even best case scenario from what I'm hearing is he's going to be out at least a month. I do not think that Brayden Point will be available for the Olympics. Just speculation. Do you agree with that sentiment?
It's hard to say.
Yeah, it is.
Right? Because it's obviously there's no tear, so there's no surgery that's needed. It's rest and recovery, and by reading the tea leaves, it sounds like a sprain, right? And those are not fun, especially we assume it's the MCL because that's on the side.
Right.
So we're, just kind of speculating on different things. And, John Cooper used the comment a few weeks yesterday. Hopefully in a few weeks, he'll be okay. I think that they will wait as long as possible to make that determination. And
Right.
I think you have up until the IHF rules change all the time. So I don't know exactly when you could add an injury replacement if you needed it. And the thing is too, is that with the Olympics compared to 4 nations, you bring 2 more players, right? Your roster is 25. So if you think he's ready in 4 weeks, and that's right around the start of the Olympics, he could go. Even if it's 5 weeks and you feel he could come in and make a difference once you start to get closer to the elimination games, he probably goes. But it's all going to depend on how he heals, how he feels. And the other thing, though, to keep in mind as well, and that's going to be the conditions of the ice in Italy.
Yeah.
Certainly that's been well documented over the last little while on the problems that they've had over there. They just had some test tournaments over the weekend, but that ice is going to be used a lot. The women's tournament goes first before the men's tournament starts. The practice rink, the ice wasn't even usable this past weekend. It still wasn't ready to even be used, and that's going to be used quite a bit for morning skates and practices and everything else. So there are a lot of factors that are going to go into determining whether or not he could play. A lot of people will say even should he play. But knowing the medical staff on the Lightning in particular, they always err on the side of caution.
Yeah.
And if they feel there's any additional risk to Brayden Point playing in the Olympics, he won't go. But if there's no concern once he's healed up, then they're going to leave it up to Brayden Point. And if that's the case, I would think Point goes. So it's just there's a lot of runway between now and when that determination has to be made. So I don't know if he's going to play in the Olympics or not. I think the potential is still there, but it's not ruled out one way or the other, and they have time to determine that.
Yeah, I think with all that you just said, and the fact that he said weeks, and just knowing that he's going to have to get on the ice first in a red non-contact jersey and skate for a week before he even does anything as far as ramping it up, because if it's a knee injury, right? So that's the thing. It's like we know the stage, we know the stages, we know how the Lightning take care of their injuries, and we know what the most important part of his game is. It's his speed. And if he's compromised at all, he's not going to be able to be effective. And you want him to be able to help you contribute. You want, there's just so many layers to him. And the sad part about it is that, like, I don't know if he'll be a candidate in 2030, right? I don't know. In 4 years, that's the other thing that I don't know if enough people are talking about is this is his best shot. Would he have been a first guy on the team, judging how he started the season? Definitely not. But he turned it on. We know what he can do. He's got the experience of playing with this team. He's one of the few guys probably in the world that can play with Connor McDavid, right, Eric? I mean, he's one of the few guys that can play with that speed and play with a guy with that skill because, yeah, he plays with a guy like Nikita Kucherov. That doesn't hurt. So I feel so bad because he's such a good guy, and this may be his only crack at it.
Yeah, and like with all of this determination, there would be nobody better to help make this decision than John Cooper and Julien Brisebois because they know the players so well, right? And they know what he's capable of doing and where he is. So again, they still have time to make this determination. They'll be in contact. Team Canada officials will be in contact with whoever's at the top of the reserve list if Brayden can't go, and they will wait as long as possible. It might even be a situation to where they take him to Italy with them and then make the determination once they're over there, right? So there's always that possibility as too. The thing is with these is they will wait as long as they possibly can to make that decision. So if they can figure out within 2 weeks, there's no way he's going to be ready, then they'll make that determination. But I think that they'll give Brayden as much time because, as you mentioned, this might be his only shot. And it's special for players to be called Olympians and to compete for Olympic medal, especially for Canada. We know the pressure that's on Canada in any and every best on best international competition. And, Brayden Point wants to be a part of that. He was part of the Four Nations. So I think they will give him every single opportunity to be a part of this Team Canada. So they'll give him as much time as he needs to make that determination.
I really hope the USA wins so I can talk shit to John Cooper. That's all I got to say. Because after the Four Nations, I wore my red and white shoes with a blue suit thinking I'm wearing red, white, and blue. And the first person to see me was Julian. He goes, "Oh, look, Canada shoes." I'm like, God dang it. No, Julian, red, white, and blue. Damn, he got me good. He got me good. 11 wins in a row, double E. I mean, it's unbelievable. And the one thing I hated the last 4 minutes last night because they couldn't get the puck out of the damn zone, and still and Dave were definitely not thrilled with it. But when the Lightning are at their best, and we've seen this the last decade plus, they win games 7-2. They win games 2-1. So when you watch this team and you look at their streak, what has been some of the kind of main themes peppering through these victories to give them 11 in a row?
Defending.
Yeah. It all comes back to that, doesn't it?
Yeah, because like you look at a game last night, because like the first 10 games of this winning streak, they scored at least 4 goals. A couple of empty netters in there, but they scored at least 4 goals in all 10 of the first games on this winning streak. And then you have a game like last night to where you just don't have the offensive juice. And obviously you're missing Brayden Point. I think they were still a little shell-shocked in some ways. Yeah. Even with the more positive news, relatively speaking, that they knew before the game that he was not going to be gone for the season. But they just didn't have the juice. The power play didn't look very good. Kind of back to how poorly they looked in the power play before. Pucks were missing the net. I think they finished with 14 missed shots last night. I think 7 of those were in the first period alone. So they just didn't have the juice. And you're going to have nights like that. Some nights a goalie can stand on his head and steal a game for the opponent. Like that happens sometimes.
Right. Yeah.
But if you can defend, if you can hold teams to 1 or 2 goals, you're still going to give yourself a chance to win games like that. And that's kind of how last night developed. I thought Pittsburgh was the better team for a good portion of it. I thought Pittsburgh certainly had the better chances, the better looks, and some of the analytical sites that I go to back that up with the numbers. But they still had a chance to win the game because they defended well, right? Yeah. They didn't, and they were actually credited if you take giveaways and takeaways and combine them together. Like I think the Lightning were credited with 18 giveaways, and I think Pittsburgh had 9 takeaways, so it's 27. That's a lot of turnovers, but they weren't in dangerous areas of the ice, right? They weren't, with the exception of a couple times, they weren't swinging too many pucks across the blue line and giving up the odd man looks and those sort of opportunities because they were defending. They defended well. It's a shame that J.J. Moser's goal didn't stand as the lone goal. Right, because it was kind of, I don't want to call it a fluky goal because it was a very heads-up play by J.J. Moser to stay with it and go to the net, right, as Rickard Raquel, veered off and left it there because he thought a whistle was coming. J.J. Moser's like, well, I didn't hear a whistle. I'm going to keep going. And he got the goal. So it was a great heads-up play by him. But, that was a game that there were only 2 goals scored in it. right? And they had a chance to win it because of how they defended. And look, Andre Vasilevsky helped. I thought he was great last night, especially in the overtime. But when you can defend, you give yourself in chances like games like last night because they just didn't have the juice offensively. Nikita Kucherov was held off the board, right? He had 10 straight or 9 straight multi-point games, right? And he got nothing last night. He had a hard time finding space too, right? And so to me, it all comes back. The one key element in all of this is the defending, the way they defend, especially the middle areas of the ice. Man, how many plays did we see last night where Darren Radish took a puck away in the middle of the ice? He got a stick on a puck in the middle of the ice. Dominic James on a great back check because of his speed, protecting the middle of the ice, right? Like that's a commitment to defending that you need to have. And it was well on display last night.
Chan with the $5 super chat. Thank you, buddy. Mr. Erlendsson. I don't know who that is.
Mr.
That's your dad. Where do they slot Hetty and McD when they return? How do they return and not mess with the chemistry the team has right now? That's not a $5 question. That's $1 million question, Chan. Thanks, Chan.
Yeah, it's funny. We had the chat with Julian last week, and I tried to ask him that question, and he immediately, that's a John Cooper problem. Like he knows, because it's a good problem to have, but it is a problem. Just in the sense that McDonough and Hedman are two very important pieces of this team. Yeah. They play important roles. They play important minutes, but like you're not. I don't think you're taking J.J. Moser and Darren Radish apart, right? They've been so good together, So, okay, you put Hedman back with, McDonough with Cernak. Maybe you do that, But who plays with Victor Hedman? Is it Max Crozier? Does Dastu go to the right side? And we're not even talking about Emil Lilleberg.
I know,
right? Lilleberg was playing very well at the time of his injury. Now he's probably not coming back until after the Olympic break because that was a pretty nasty. And last I saw him, he was still around on the knee cart, going around with the boot on the right foot. So look, I don't think anybody has the answer to that question right now.
It's Dastu, right?
Certainly not us.
Let's tackle it right now.
Is it?
What would we do? It's got to be, right?
I don't know. His first pass out of the zone is so good.
That's what I'm saying. It's
so good.
No, I'm saying Dastu's got to play with Hedman. I think that's where we're at because you can't put. I think you take Moser and Radish and you break them apart, and I think you hurt Radish. I think Moser can play with anybody. I think the Radish has played his best hockey with JJ Moser. Now you're going to probably ease Hedman into it, and I think that they're going to look at him and they're going to start playing him like kind of how we saw maybe Chara on the back end of his career, Brent Burns, how those guys slide down a little bit and play more second D minutes, third D minutes, and utilize him in certain situations. I think McDonough comes back, he goes right with Cernak. I don't think they're going to mess around with that because I think, just like I say, Radish plays his best hockey with Moser, I think Cernak plays his best hockey with McDonough. I think you can agree on that. Yeah. I don't know how you mess up. I don't know how you change Moser and Radish. So, and if you have to give me a choice between Crozier and Dastu, I'm going with Dastu. And he can play on his offside. He's going to – I mean, it's an adjustment to play with Victor Hedman. You and I have talked to J.J. Moser about how it's like it's not easy for everybody. Like, Cernak can't do it. Like, we love Erik Cernak, but he just can't play with Victor Hedman. And, we thought Jake Dotchin was the answer, right? That's how particular you have to be on the blue line. But I think that is kind of maybe where we're heading. It could be Moser, Radish, McDonough, Cernak, Hedman, Dastu. But where does that leave Crozier? Where does that leave Lilleberg when he comes back? It's a great problem to have, and thank God we're not John Cooper.
Yeah, it's tough. It's going to be tough, and I mean a lot of times these situations do work themselves out. But I think we did see when Victor Hedman came back before the surgery, they did ease him back in. Yeah. Right, he played 16, 17 minutes. He wasn't out there for the 6-on-5 extra attacker situation. He wasn't out on the power play, right? And look, now we know it was an elbow issue, so maybe that's had something to do with his, lack of shooting that we've seen, and the accuracy on the shot as well. I mean, they don't have to make that determination now, but it's in the back of their mind because
Right.
nobody, even Declan Carlisle, and he's had a couple of tough games here the last little bit. Not even
Right.
he deserves to come out of the lineup with the way that
No,
he's
he's
played.
played pretty good. He's played pretty
Right?
good, all things considering. Yeah.
And the sad part is for Carlisle, at least from a Lightning perspective, is he can be a Group 6 free agent at the end of the year, unrestricted free
Mhm.
agent, which means he doesn't hit a threshold by a certain age of number of NHL games. And even if he plays the rest of the season, he's not going to hit the 80 game threshold. So he's going to be a UFA at the end of the year. And he loves it here. I had a chance to do one of the walk-off interviews with him, and he said that he signed with this organization because they believed in him and they gave him an opportunity. But everything we just talked about, the depth chart, does Declan Carlisle see a path for him here? So, he's probably going to have to end up moving on next year, but he doesn't deserve to come out of the lineup right now. Crozier doesn't deserve to come out of the lineup right now. Dastu certainly does not deserve to come out of the lineup right now. I don't have the answer to that question, and I guarantee you right now, neither does John Cooper. And we know Julian doesn't because he punted that question as quick as he could when I asked it to him.
I love Max Crozier too, man. God, I love how tough he is too. Crozier's up there throwing hands like it's crazy, man. It's unbelievable. All right, before I let you go, I want to ask you about Darren Radish. We talked a lot about the defense. This is a weird thing because after talking to Julian last week, he's in line for life-changing money.
Yep.
There's no I just look at it and I go, I don't see how he comes back next year. I just think they ride it out with him, right? I mean, they just kind of ride it out with him because they're not going to trade him. They're not going to trade him because, he's a good player. He's a guy that really helps on their power play that struggled. They figured it out, and he's a big reason why. He's got such an incredible shot. You probably could get at this point, you probably get a nice little haul for him, whether it's draft picks or maybe some depth up front. But you'd be trading a guy and then needing somebody just like him for your team anyway to try to make a long postseason run. So it's a wait and see a kind of pattern, right? With Darren Radish, because I feel like if he keeps playing like this and it's good for him, I think he just prices himself out of Tampa.
Yeah. And when you listen to Julian talk about it, right? Before he wants to start looking at possible numbers, and that's why he said we'll discuss in the offseason, is because this has been a great sample size, but it's still a sample size. I think if you look at Darren Radish's career as a whole, even just this year, he struggled to get into the lineup. Right? Because of some of the turnovers that he did and, proved costly in a couple of games early in the season when they started 1-4-2. Like we said, the first time they played the Colorado Avalanche this year in Denver, Darren Radish was a healthy scratch.
Yeah.
The second time they played the Colorado Avalanche a week ago, he was the matchup guy against Nathan McKinnon. I mean, that's a massive in-season turnaround.
It is.
For a player. Now, that's a credit to Darren Radish. He has taken this opportunity. I mean, he played 28 minutes last night.
Yeah, he did.
Right. He's taken this opportunity and run with it because he's been great.
I want to ask you this. David Terry brings up, he's a Liverpool fan, but I still love him. I think he takes a team-friendly deal. He loves Tampa. I think I've talked about this before. I don't think he takes a team-friendly deal. This is you think about it, he could make $6 million. He can make $7 million next year. And a team that is going to give him maybe 4 or 5 years. I know he's an older guy, but I think, somebody saying, hey, we're going to give you a 4-year deal worth $28 million or $26 million. I don't think that's out of the realm of possibility. If you're a quarterbacking the power play of the Tampa Bay Lightning, there's a lot of teams in the league that are going to go, I want that guy, and we'll pay him $6-7 million a year. So he's not going to get that here. He's not going to take a team-friendly discount, and I hate to say this, nor should he.
I agree with that 100%. And if I'm Darren Radish, I don't do it. Yeah, no, it's absolutely an opportunity that he's not going to get again.
Yeah. No
right.
doubt.
It's just not going to happen. So, and again, it's easy for us to say, well, how could you turn down a $4 million contract? Well, we don't live in that world.
No, we don't.
Right. We don't live in that world. It's a different perspective. And, his agent wouldn't let him do it either.
Yeah.
Right. Because like you said, somebody even Julian said it without saying it, is that somebody is going to pay him a lot of money that he deserves. He has earned it with the way he's played this year, and he won't get this chance again because he did develop or mature his game later in his career, right? Like, and we've seen this happen with other players that the Lightning have brought in that nobody really thought much of. Yanni Gourde's one of them, right? And look at the contracts that Yanni Gourde has been able to sign, and Jonathan Marchessault, Carter Verhaeghe. Verhaeghe's the poster child, right? Yeah. He didn't have a spot here to be in the top 6. He had to be a top 6. He saw an opportunity to go elsewhere, and he's parlayed that into $6 million a year contract. He's been a 40-goal scorer. So, Darren Raddysh, again, love Darren Raddysh, love the way he's played this year, but I think you're right. I think he has priced his way out of this market. He has priced himself out of the cap situation this team is in, especially after they already signed Dastu to the extension. Because in a lot of ways, Dastu shoots left, Raddysh is a righty. Dastu is the new Darren Raddysh.
Yeah, and you look at the right side of the D, you have a bunch of guys that are left-handed that can play on the right side. You're sticking with Chernak. You have Crozier that's much cheaper. Makes a lot of sense.
Was playing the right side with Dastu.
Yeah.
Right? So,
good point.
And we saw Dastu, I think, when McDonough came back, I think Dastu was playing the right side with McDonough.
Yeah, he's a beast. Freaking love that guy. Erik Erlendsson, lightninginsider.com. Erik_Erlendsson on Twitter/X. That's a K, not a C. 2 S's after the D. Sign up for lightninginsider.com today, guys. Support local. Use that promo code JNZ to get $10 off, not just this year, but every recurring season after that. Double E, you're the man. Have a good weekend, buddy. I'll talk to you next week. You're the best.
All right. Thanks, Jay. Be well.
You too, my friend. The great Erik Erlendsson, the Spoon Man. He's the best. He had a run, so we had to get him in and out very quick. GoldenEye. Listen, let me tell you. All right, before I go. Pat Donovan says Ted Lasso is such a great show because he hates soccer and he loves that show. To me, GoldenEye is the greatest shooter game of all time because I hate shooter games. I suck at them. I don't enjoy them whatsoever. But GoldenEye, I could not get enough. Give me that golden gun. I'm shooting up every single one of them Russian spies. I didn't care. Me and my boy Rob, N64, GoldenEye, the greatest game in my mind. Dun, 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 the opening scene with the thing. Bro, that was my jam. I hate shooter games. You're not going to catch me playing Halo. You're not going to catch me playing Call of Duty. I'm not doing any of that stuff. I'm the guy that's, if you ever watch The Office and Jim Halpert and this guy that's running into the wall, that's me. I don't know how. I'm not none of that. But GoldenEye, I'm here for it. Video games, FIFA, and NHL. That's where I'm at. That is all I'm at. What a show today, guys. A lot of great back and forth. You guys were very involved on the program today. Thank you so much for the super chats. Chan, killing it. Richie, I didn't see this until late. Evolve, guys. Jay Recher gang, kill that like button. Evolve asked. We're going to do it for him. Thank you, producer Evolve. You're the man. And Chan with the $5 super chat with the questions. You guys are the best. Thank you so much. Make sure you follow me on all social media platforms. Facebook, YouTube, Twitter, Twitch, TikTok, Instagram. Like and subscribe on YouTube as well. And let us not forget our friends, Honest Hammer Custom Builders and EverHealth. The EverHealth Injury Report with Dr. Rodriguez tomorrow at 12:30. Our guy, Honest Hammer, Russ, he was chiming in on the program today. All your residential and commercial needs, 813-244-0956, thehonesthammer.com, thehonesthammer@gmail.com. Let them know you heard it right here on the Jay Recher podcast and get a discount on the work that you need done for your house. Good luck to the Bulls tonight. The men are in action at the YC. Go to the Yuengling Center and support them. Go USFBulls.com. I love you all, man. Thank you for the good vibes today. Be kind. Do nice things. Say nice things for the people around you. You never know whose day you're going to impact. We'll see you tomorrow. Oh, yeah. No Trisha Whitaker today. She's sick. She apologizes. Hopefully she'll be on next week. Tomorrow, injury report. Tomorrow, Ed Encina. We're going to try to work on getting Tim Benz on there as well because we got to talk to Mike Tomlin as well. I love you all. Beckles and Recher podcast coming up at 2:30 today. Shit, I got it all, buddy. Beckles and Recher podcast at 2:30. Make sure you're checking us out there. I love you all. We'll see you tomorrow at noon. We'll see you later on the Beckles and Recher podcast. It don't stop, baby.